is Rebecca, wearing the same shirt I was wearing yesterday because I slept in it. Probably smells really bad. Yeah, no, it's okay. Anyway, sorry, I had my therapy appointment. Yeah, why are you talking about your personal life, Rebecca? Why are you talking about your personal life? It's kind of what I do. I have no shame. I guess that's a negative way of saying it. I have no I'm a very open person. That's a more positive way of saying it. Let's say it that way, okay? I have a more open way of looking at my life. For me, I feel like my private life is intrinsically related to my public life in the sense that, like, obviously certain details are private to people and you want to respect people's, obviously if somebody doesn't want you telling about their affair, it's like, well, that's up to them. You can talk to that person saying like, hey, you should probably tell your spouse or whatever, like what's going on, and deal with that, because you're gonna end up hating yourself, and the longer it goes, that's private. Okay, that's like, somebody asked you to keep something private, or like if you want to think business, like a non-disclosure agreement. Like obviously you would like to talk about whatever it is, but like you can't because you would be going against your contract. That's different. But as far as it stuff, stuff that applies directly to me and what affects my life, and like, kind of the things that I think about and the things that I do, I don't really feel a difference between public and private. I mean, I will talk to people slightly different in private. Obviously, like I said, like there are different things that you do that, just to respect other people. And there will be things that I will if somebody comes to me in confidence, and like with a DM or in talking to me in person, like that's supposed to be a one-on-one conversation, not supposed to be a public. I get that, and that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I still have the same approach to conversations. I still try to be 100% authentic, and I don't like pretend to be someone I'm not. I don't lead people on. I try to do the best I can to just be me, regardless of whether it's public or private. And so it's like, I think a lot of people are used to this whole idea that if somebody's acting nice or somebody's acting a certain way, that they're trying to get something from you. And obviously in some cases that's true, but I think there's a difference between like, somewhat like kind of leading somebody on to like trying to get something that you want them to do. But I need to rename there needs to be another space. Okay, here we go. And there's a slight difference between doing that and, like, I don't know, it's like basically what you see is what you get, whether it's in private or whether it's in public. Like, I'm not going to act differently in private than I do in public for the most part. Like, yeah, one-on-one, it's a little bit more personalized. If I'm talking to you one-on-one, it's going to be more about our unique connection. It's going to be more about like what, at least how I believe it to be. Like if you send me a DM, it's going to be a conversation between you and me. It's not going to be like, oh, hey, like, I mean, I guess it depends on the context. Like obviously if it's somebody I respect and somebody I care about and somebody I really want to develop a friendship and like a working relationship or like a professional relationship with, obviously not romantic. I don't do that. I don't pursue romantic interests on the internet. It's just it feels like the exact opposite of what you should be doing. I feel like it's more important for relationships, all kinds of relationships, to grow organically. And when you start to force things, either in professional relationships or friendships or romantic interests, I feel like when you start to force things, that's when things actually start going wrong. And that's what I've experienced. That's what my experience has been. And I don't know. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to just be myself. And if people like me, then that's great, and I'll try to build that. But at the same time, people don't like me. Well, sometimes it's because that person just doesn't like me for whatever reason. It's no fault of my own. Sometimes, though, I do have to, I am a chess player. I do have to look at the position and understand that there are things that I could be doing better, and I try to do that every single day. I try to improve. Like, for example, I try to improve my Twitch stream. I try to improve that not just by my Twitch stream. And what I started doing is I've started uploading videos to YouTube. And now, obviously, the quality is not so great. It's a work in progress, but I started thinking about it. That's the whole thing. I started this process of every stream I'm going to take time to try to create content that's specifically for YouTube. For example, this video right now. Um, and yeah, it's just basically just how it's going to be. I have to be making content for YouTube, and it makes sense. It's not just like, oh, this is the business practice and this is what you're supposed to do. It's not just that. Like, I mean, obviously, if I'm gonna look at the experts, the people who have had success, in my opinion, success for me, as far as a streamer goes, or as far as having like any kind of like presence on the internet. For me, success is having like a few hundred to 1,000 or more people who really support what you do. And in fact, like, it's not about numbers. For me, I believe it's more like quality. Like, if you have 100 people, if you have 100 people who truly believe in you and your brand and what you're trying to offer, I feel like that's so much more important than having 1,000 people who just show up because they want to, like, insert their product into your stream or whatever. I feel like having that 100 people of true fans, of people who support you and your brand and what you're doing, and who really care about you, I feel like that's more important to me. That's what defines success for me. Is not having a large amount of people show up to my stream and just spam. Like, obviously that's gonna happen at some point. Hopefully it won't be as bad as I imagine it, but that's a good problem to have. By the way, I'm pretty sure that's a good problem to have. I mean, I don't know though, so you'd have to listen to the people who do have that quote unquote problem. But at the same time, I would much rather have a significant amount of less people who really care about me. And that's kind of the pattern that I've noticed in my stream. Is I've noticed people coming to my stream, some people just troll me and say racist or bigoted things or transphobic things, most likely. Or they just say some random copy paste, hatred thing, or just randomness, or they try to spam some product and they get banned. And then some people stick around and they get to know me. And from what I've noticed is that people who stick around really care about me. And what makes me feel really bad is the way I've behaved towards these people is definitely, these people have not deserved the treatment that I've given them. And yeah, that's part of why I'm going to therapy. It's a huge part of why I'm going to therapy. It's intrinsic to my stream. It's intrinsic to me as a person, as a trans woman. Like, I can't do this alone. Okay, I need to improve my quality of my mental health. I need to constantly be working on how I interact with people, and I'm not going to be perfect, and I'm going to mess up, and I'm going to scream at people, and I really hope that I don't do that. But it does happen, and I try to minimize it the best I can. I try to realize that people do not deserve to be yelled at, and I try not to yell at people. And usually they forgive me, and that's what hurts the most. Is when people forgive me. It's one thing if somebody doesn't forgive me and they just leave and they never come back. I mean, that's upsetting. And I'm like, oh, I lost that person. I really wish that, I wanted to be friends with that person, but I guess I ruined it. And I'm like, okay, I move on. But it's almost worse when people forgive me and they say, oh, it's fine. And I'm like, it's not fine. You don't deserve to be yelled at, and you continue to come back. And I know what it's like to be in abusive relationships, specifically with family members. And when you try to allow somebody, like when somebody is abusing you and you allow them to continue abusing you because, oh, well, they mean well, or that, I care about that person. I want to give them a chance. And then you give them a chance, and then you give them another chance, and you give it another chance, and they continually do the same thing. At some point, you're going to say, you know what, this is a pattern. I don't want to be a part of this. I'm going to leave. And that's what I did with my mom, because she just continues. And I was hoping that after I blocked her and reminded her that she needs to do this on her own, I can't hold her hand. I cannot go to therapy with her. Because if I go to therapy with her, she's going to miss the entire point. The entire point is that it shouldn't be like this chore, right? Going to therapy should not be a chore. And yeah, I know it's like, I'm not going to throw my mom under the bus, but in some aspects, she has earned it. But at the same time, it's like when somebody abuses you this much, There's a point where you say, you know what, this person is abusive and it has nothing to do with me and has everything to do with them. And yeah, maybe there are some things that I'm doing that I can stop. And that's why I blocked myself. That's why I separated myself, because if I continue to maintain this relationship, then I'm continuing the process and I'm making it worse. If I continue to engage with my mom with her arguments, which aren't really arguments, they're basically just guilt trips. If I continue those engagements, I'm allowing her to validate the reasons why she thinks that she's allowed to have these feelings. And so by separating myself from the equation, I'm taking myself out and she's the one causing the problems. And I'm saying, you know what? I'm just going to separate myself, move on with my life. And I barely said anything. I'm not going to get into it. It's a little personal, but basically, I talked about it before. My oldest brother said some racist thing. It wasn't really super racist. It was just really insensitive for the timing. Like maybe, I mean, it's too soon. Okay, it's like making a 9/11 joke like on 9/12. Like you don't do that, right? If you make 9/11 jokes, well, first of all, 9/11 jokes are just messed up to begin with. So maybe you should probably be, checking with yourself. If you find yourself making 9/11 jokes, you should probably reevaluate who you are. If you don't care, then I mean that's fine, whatever. But I mean, if you really want to like be sensitive to others and to understand what it means to respect people and understand like what people feel, then you probably shouldn't make 9/11 jokes. But but at the same time, like there is a time and a place. Like you don't. I changed the title, I guess. What I'm trying to say is that like these people have separated from me, and no, it's because I've separated from them. Because I had to put my foot down. Just because this person's in my family doesn't mean that I have to put up with abusive, toxic behavior. And he put this racist, not racist, but like just insensitive video. It was, maybe a few years from now, after all this settles and then Black lives actually matter to people, then maybe we could laugh at that. And it's like objectively funny, like because it's just satire. But at the time, like this is not the time for that. Okay, this is not the time. There's actually something going on that has been going on for a very long time, and my brother was just. And then this wasn't. If it were just that, it would have been one thing. But after I removed him from the chat, he started spamming my other family members, begging to get back into the chat. And then I let him back in the chat. And then my sister let him back in the chat. And then he started. And I said, I said like highly insensitive. And well, that was before I removed him from the group. And then I added him to the group. And then he's just like explaining his racism. Like he's trying to justify why he was saying things like, oh, there's black on black crime, more white people, all the same bullshit rhetoric that all these freaking alt-right people, and well, not really alt-right people, but people who are allowing the alt-right to have a voice. That's the difference. It's not that these people are openly Nazis, or that it's not that these people are Nazis or alt-right or anything like that. Most of these people want to do good. What it is that these people, and maybe some people definitely don't want to do good, they just hate people for whatever reason. But there is a group of people who are like more moderate, who are just swayed by the rhetoric that these people who have a lot more influence, who have a lot more like kind of evil in their heart, they get swayed by their rhetoric because it aligns with their other beliefs. And that's the problem. I mean, that's called bias. It happens on both sides. Like it's easy for somebody who's a little bit more liberal, moderate, on a little bit more on the liberal side, to listen to these like radical leftists, and some of the there is a danger on both sides. Like when somebody on the alt right starts saying rhetoric that sort of matches some of your beliefs and core beliefs, then you're a little bit more likely to listen to some of what they have to say instead of discrediting it as hate speech. And as far as the leftist goes, like when they talk about things like like healthcare and stuff like that, you agree with that because everyone needs healthcare, and we see it based on science and reality. And yeah, that's a huge part of why this is more realistic and this is just hate. But at the same time, then you see people who are like radical on the left, who just want to overthrow society and who want everything to just be like thrown away and want to wear like face masks to like. I mean, obviously you should wear a mask during COVID-19, but not like not like the what is it, Guy Fawkes or whatever mask. Because I really do believe Anonymous, that's a terrorist group. Okay, that's a terrorist group. They do things that are definitely wrong. Like, I mean, yeah, and you could say that they're altruistic. It doesn't matter because the way they're doing about it is still very much wrong. When you're affecting individual people with your actions, is it's one thing to to stand up for something, to actually do something about it, where it's like you're hacking into somebody's email and leaking information, doxing people, etc., like stuff like that. It was just what anonymous does. They're hackers, and they're terrorist hackers. That's really what they are. They call themselves hacktivists. It's still messed up, and it's not the solution. Just like the people on the alt right aren't the solution, and the people on the complete left, like on the radical left, aren't the solution. There is a moderate solution. Okay, there is a moderate solution. Anyway, I don't. I've kind of been rambling on. A lot of that, I'm gonna chop some of that out, but I'm gonna upload that to YouTube. And that's what I was basically saying is, I'm trying to approach my stream more as content creation, and then I could take some of that content and create YouTube content. And I'm trying to think of it from that perspective more and more, as time goes on. And in fact, I did a live YouTube, and I'm doing this on stream right now, as a preamble to, obviously I can do it both on stream and via YouTube live, but I want to use YouTube live more as, if I'm going to be doing streams like where I'm doing stuff like this, like where I'm just talking, I want to do that on YouTube. That's kind of what I want to be doing on YouTube. Twitch is going to be a place where I can, like, maybe I'll, like, do little updates like this, like little short updates. But if I'm going to do, like, eventually, I mean, if I can get big enough to actually go to just chatting and not worry about growing like that anymore, and once I get people on YouTube to actually find me, like, then I could just do stuff like that on just chatting. But I still feel like I shouldn't do just chatting. Like, I should use YouTube for that, for just chatting to the camera and to the audience. I don't know. I feel like there's a difference, because I feel like in just chatting, like, it's about the chat. Like, it's not about me. It's about the Twitch community. But I feel like with YouTube, it would be like, here's me talking to everyone, and it's more like a vlog. And I do have pauses, and I mean, obviously I'm a human being, and I improvise a lot. And so it's like I don't have prepared speeches or anything like that, but I almost feel like it's more like public speaking, and it's less about interaction. Whereas just chatting category on Twitch is about interaction, in my opinion. Like that's what I want for my community, for my Twitch, for my social media brand. Like when I use just chatting, it's because it's like I want to get engaged with you guys. But when it's on YouTube, it's more like I'm giving everyone a giant update about something, or I'm like talking about a specific topic, and I want you to listen. Obviously, I mean, it's not set in stone. Like, if I'm in just chatting, or even just on chess, like I am right now, I'm gonna be slipping in between all of that. And that's kind of the beautiful thing about streaming, is that it's not gonna just be one thing all the time. Hopefully. But yeah, that's one of the things I've been wanting to focus on doing, is just like creating content on Twitch, because obviously it's just kind of where I create content, is on Twitch. Is I do stuff on Twitch, and obviously I want to be planning like content that's specifically for YouTube that I'll have to be doing on my own, and I'll get there. And I have a few friends after this whole coronavirus thing. After we get vaccine, it's gonna be a long time before we can get back to being able to spend time with people and do stuff and collaborate with people I care about. But I have a photographer friend, and I'd like to get him involved, and we could create like YouTube content together. I'd really like to get that going, because he wants to create content, and we could work together with that. Or at least maybe I could convince him to, because I feel like he's a little bit. He needs some prodding. He needs somebody to say, hey, like, don't doubt yourself. Everyone sucks at the beginning, and you have experience, and you have more experience than you give yourself credit for. You're better at filmmaking than you think you are. And I'm kind of speaking to him right now, even though I know I don't know if he's ever going to see this, but at the same time, like, dude, like, you have actual, like, resume. You're not like, Hollywood quality. Like, you don't have to be at the absolute top just to be a content creator. Like, I'm creating content right now. Like you can actually start making content and you improve it as you go, and you try to brainstorm ideas, and just constantly improve it as you go. But like, if I feel like a lot of people, they don't get started because they say, oh well, I'm not already up here, so I'm not even going to start. The problem is in order to get up here, you have to start down here, and a lot of people don't understand that. And the cool thing about chess is that, I'm getting back to the category. Um, the cool thing about chess is that you do start at the bottom, regardless of how good you are, at anything else. You always start at the bottom with chess, and you have to climb your way up. There is no shortcut. There's literally the most equalizing thing you could possibly do is play a game like chess, or Go, or Shogi, or Jiangqi, or anything that's a board game that's just like chess. Like, they're all the same. Just in its core, they're all the same. They're all extremely strategic games that have tactical ideas, that involve perfect information, that involve zero sum. And it's like, either someone wins, someone loses, or there's a draw, or whatever. I forget what zero sum. There's a specific definition of zero sum. Google it. Okay, like, I'm not gonna talk about it right now, but those games have a special place in the human mind and in human history, because there's people who have always attached themselves to these games specifically, like chess, like shogi, like Go. There's people in Jiangqi as well. There's people who and Jeongi, if you want to go in Korea. There's people who have attached themselves to these games and tried to be the absolute best that they possibly could during this lifetime, and that's extremely admirable. And more and more and more, we're seeing more and more people do this and see it as more mainstream, thanks to the current market that we have in esports and on Twitch, and just like stuff like chess is going to explode and already has. And whether it's going to stay that way depends on how we move forward. But at the same time, like, people love chess. People have always loved chess, and it's if we do the right things, it's going to keep growing, and it's going to completely change how we view the game. Because it's perfect for the esports market. Like, it's right up there with Hey, thanks for the follow, Spazzer. Yeah, I'm spazzing around right now. Oh yeah, I need to hydrate. Thanks. Yeah, I've been drinking coffee. It's like, anyway, yeah, so stay tuned for that. I'm going to be creating more content for YouTube as time goes on. Hopefully the quality will just get up and up and up. So it might take a while. I'm really slow at improving at stuff like this. This has been one of the worst possible things that, like, this is my weakest skill, is creating content. Like in like this is the, like, 100% of what you need to be doing on social media is making content. And, like, I don't know, maybe I'm better than I think I am. That's the thing. Anyway, on that note, let's get started with some chess. First we're gonna cover